How did your daughter ruin your life? My daughter demanded that every activity I did with my new husband had to be replicated within 48 hours. So if we went to an Italian restaurant for our anniversary, she'd make me take her to the exact same one saying, now you owe me what you gave him. Megan was 12 when I divorced her father. He'd never hugged her, worked constantly, and treated us like unwanted roommates he was obligated to feed. But Megan had always been obsessed with measuring his love, keeping notebooks where she'd track every word he spoke to her. She'd write things like, Dad said 23 words at dinner, and he looked at me for 4 seconds today. After the divorce, she kept a photo album called Our Real Family, filled with pictures from before, with handwritten captions like, When we were 3, and The Last Normal Christmas. She'd sit in her room staring at them whispering, we were supposed to stay together. When I started dating Lucas, she seemed happy I'd found someone who actually showed emotions. But after we married when she turned 14, she became convinced I was replacing her. That's when the notebooks became weapons. On Megan's 16th birthday, she gave me a gift in front of our whole family. It was a set of leather notebooks titled Relationship Equality Ledgers. Now we can make sure everything is fair, she announced. She explained her new system where every activity with Lucas had to be matched with her. Same restaurants, same movies, same vacations, same duration. If Lucas and I went bowling for 2 hours, she got 2 hours of bowling. If we had a picnic in the park, she'd demand an identical picnic down to the same sandwiches. She'd already filled 20 pages with existing debt from our honeymoon and previous dates, complete with estimated costs and time durations. I laughed nervously but agreed to avoid her meltdowns. But the reality was that Megan's demands were exhausting as hell. She carried her notebook everywhere and documented constantly. Click of her pen when Lucas kissed me goodbye. Click when he brought me coffee. She'd interrupt dinner to show her running tally. You owe me 3 restaurant dates and 2 movie nights, she'd announce while we ate. Then she'd sit between Lucas and me on the couch with her notebook open, tracking our conversation time. She made me sign weekly debt acknowledgements confirming what I owed. If I was even 1 day late on repayment, she'd have a screaming breakdown about being unloved. Every moment with Lucas was poisoned. He'd suggest lunch, and I'd immediately think, that's another lunch with Megan. I started naturally avoiding him just to prevent the doubling. Canceled our anniversary trip because I couldn't afford 2 identical vacations. When Lucas offered to teach Megan guitar to bond with her, she said no, because those hours would create unfair bonus time that couldn't be matched. The spontaneity died completely. Meanwhile, Megan got more attention than ever, but still raged that it wasn't enough because some of it was owed rather than freely given. Even growing up didn't help. She'd text me spreadsheets of accumulated debt when I visited Lucas's family. When Lucas's mother had a severe stroke and needed daily care, I spent weekends at the hospital helping her. Megan completely lost it. Since there was no way to repay 8-hour hospital visits with equivalent entertainment, she came up with a new rule. I owed her compensation activities of her choosing at triple value. One morning, she blocked the door as I tried to leave for the hospital. You owe me 6 restaurant dinners from last month, she screamed, waving her notebook. I told her that Lucas's mother was dying while she was acting like a spoiled child. Megan threw her notebook at my head and said I'd been cheating the system since the wedding. I said I was done with the ledgers and contracts and her sick need to quantify love. I thought the nightmare might finally be over. But Megan didn't take that lying down. She called everyone we knew saying I'd abandoned her for my replacement family. Told relatives I'd always been selfish, that I let Lucas psychologically abuse her with his presence. She filed false CPS reports claiming Lucas was emotionally abusive and controlling. Convinced her father to sue for emergency custody, saying I was in an unsafe relationship. She told her therapist I'd forced her to compete for basic maternal affection and got a letter recommending immediate intervention. Broke into our house to photograph evidence that Lucas had replaced her, his coffee mug in the cabinet, his photos on the wall. Created a whole narrative that I'd orchestrated everything to push her out. The worst part was people believed her. My own sister said, how could you choose him over Megan? Friends who'd watched her tyranny somehow forgot once she played victim. Lucas lost his coaching positions when she told administrators he was dangerous to children. But then the court investigations found no evidence of abuse, just boxes of Megan's obsessive notebooks documenting every minute I'd spent with Lucas. The judge called them disturbing and evidence of concerning behavior. Exhausted and broken, I agreed to let her father have full custody, even though she was about to turn 18. Lucas and I moved across the country to start fresh. Megan got what she wanted, living with her dad, but discovered he still worked 80-hour weeks and barely spoke to her. She texts me constantly about how awful he is, how empty the house feels, begging me to come back. Says she'll burn the notebooks if I just come home. I don't respond to Megan's messages anymore because she's an adult now. Lucas and I are expecting our first child together, and I've learned that some bridges, once burned with lies, can never be rebuilt.